Hey, welcome back to Kick and Crochet. Today I'm going to do a quick book review. It's actually two books. They are Crochet Power and Crochet Power 2 by Kristen Omdahl. She's written, I think, like 20 crochet books at this point, and I first found her, I want to say it was back in 2011-ish, and she had made Crochet So Fine. It was all these beautiful lace patterns. So she's a pretty prolific designer, and she has come out with these two new books that are kind of like stitch dictionary guide things. So I'm going to talk about them a little bit, and we'll see if it's something you're interested in. Okay, so the first one is Crochet Power, Making Stitch Patterns Work for You. And this one is more like Stitch Dictionary in a more traditional way, but there's actually some cool things that I really like about how she did it. It's not as many stitch patterns as like a really big Stitch Dictionary, but she does some things that are kind of nice. So within the book, she's going to take one stitch, and for every stitch pattern, she's going to have a crocheted sample for you to see, the chart, and the written directions. But she doesn't just give you one way to make it, so she'll give you working in regular rows like this. I just picked one of her stitch samples to show you what it looks like in the book. So she'll start with working in rows, and then she'll show you if you're working in a continuous round, like even like a cylinder. And then she'll show you if you're increasing in rows, and then she'll show you if you're increasing in the round. And she does this for every stitch design in the book, so that's actually really super useful. She included, I think, 19 different stitch patterns. So like I said, there aren't as many stitches, but it's a lot more ways you can use the stitches, which is really super useful. So here's just snippets of the different stitch patterns that she's got. So for every single one of these, she has gone through and showed you how to do it in rows, in the round, increasing in rows, and increasing in the round. So that's pretty cool. And they're not just basic. She does go through like single crochet, double crochet, all that stuff, but she does also do some more complex stitch patterns. So that's nice, because it can be tricky to figure out how to do increases for like something like Abigail, whatever. That's not a basic stitch pattern. So it's nice to have somebody figure out all the increases and write them out with the charts and the written instructions. So that's pretty cool. Again, she did all the basic stitches, so that's always useful. And then that's it for the first book. She does include in that first book, so the first one was Crochet Power, and one thing I did like about it is she does include in the beginning of the book some handy guides for sizing, so like how big different sizes of blankets should be, all sorts of different kind of tips like that are really helpful. The only thing that I didn't like about the book, one, I wish that she had included more stitch patterns, but given that she went through 4 ways of making each of them, 19 is still pretty good. My only real complaint is just that I feel like some of the items could have been blocked a little better, and so that's maybe me just being nitpicky, but some of the pictures don't look quite square, and so it's a little bit off-putting, like, does this pattern really work? But I know it does. So that's just my one complaint. So that is the first book, which is Crochet Power. And then the second book is Crochet Power Edgings. Sorry, Crochet Power 2 Edgings, I think. And this one actually I think is really cool. Not that the other one's not cool, but this one I think is maybe better than the other one. So in this one, she's got 100 different edging patterns. I can't tell you how many times I see people in Facebook groups asking what kind of edging to put on their blanket or whatever. So this gives you a ton of different ideas. And one thing I do like is that she split the book into different styles of edgings. So she included 4 main types of edgings, and she split up her patterns by construction type, so bottom up, fringe, perpendicular, and top down. So I picked a sample from each of those categories just to kind of give you an idea of what they are. So this first one is one of her bottom up edgings, so you work on kind of the wavy part and then go up. This one is one of the fringe edgings, so it's obviously fringy, and I was kind of surprised at how many different varieties of fringe she managed to come up with, which is kind of neat. And then this is one of her perpendicular edgings, and this is where my one complaint for this book comes in, is I feel like it could have used better instructions for how to actually attach the edging to the blanket. The instructions are really clear for how to actually make all of the edgings. Again, they include the picture, they include a chart, and they include the written directions for every single edging. And some of the edgings are rather complex and include a lot of rows. Some of them are really simple, so there's a really good variety. I just wouldn't recommend it for a beginner crocheter because I feel like figuring out how to attach it to the blanket isn't super well explained. That being said, I think you could figure it out. And then this is an example of one of the top-down edgings. This is one of the kind of frillier, lacier ones that she has. And that's it. So there's 100 different edgings, and that's all the book is. But like I said, they all include a picture, a chart, and a written directions. She did include some notes about attaching fringe to knit items, which is useful if you're bi-stitchual. You can knit and crochet. So yeah, that's it. So that's Crochet Edgings and Crochet Edgings 2 by Kristen Omdahl. If you're interested in the books, I've got some links in the bio. I'd like to say thanks to Kristen. She sent me some free copies so that I could check them out and review them. That's it. Happy crocheting.